Ouch. Swear to God, I'm filing a lawsuit. Swear to fucking God. Stub my toe on the Another day at work. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Can somebody get her out of here? I don't think she has permission. All right, moving forth, guys, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. This is a special episode of the top 10. So just gonna block out the fact that it's top 10 at all. That blocks it out completely. All right. So this is not actually a top 10. This is a top 15, like we've done for the 2 years prior. A top 13 of 2013, and a top 14 of 2014, and a top 15 of 2015. Now, a great year for R.C.W. was 2015. 2014 had some rough patches, but nevertheless, truly an amazing year. Some huge strides. We've seen so many different arenas, so many different strides in scripting. Had amazing moments that truly were deserving. But this list is strictly focusing on the top 10 or top 15 rather, most accomplished superstars. Now I do apologize due to some faulty recording and it's kind of messed up. We're only going to mention side notes of things that could change, and duly note that this list could change if tertiary titles were included and the score would be a lot higher. So I do apologize, but if a tertiary title had some form of longest or most times, then they were indeed included. So please be assured that you would be on the list, maybe even higher or changed if there was tertiary. So there is no tertiary on this list, and some of the numbers might be slightly flawed, but we think that's as accurate as it's going to get. So let's get on to number 15. Now, coming in at number 15, now before I say number 15, sorry, I'm actually going to say some honorable mentions. Muddy, Django, can't really think of any other ones. And this will probably, no, I was going to say this is probably going to change, but it's probably not going to change because 2015 is over. So coming in at number 15 is Doter56. Now, this kind of comes to a surprise. He's relatively low on the list, but he also is relatively new to the company, debuting very, very short time ago, winning the Deadly Games tournament. So that was also factored into his number because it qualifies as a special event win. And he is a one-time world champion, tallying up to a grand total of 17 points. Coming in at number 14 is Tom Diet. Tom Diet has never held a world championship. That part sort of sets him back from potentially being higher up on the list. But in terms of general success for this year, he's already done quite a lot. He's a two-time United States champion. He's held the World Tag Team Championship, which he currently still holds. And that puts him at 18 points, so he's just above Doter, and he's also a relatively newer superstar, obviously the relative to Boss, who is higher up on this list, I will say. So that is Tom Diet. Hope I pronounced that right. You get the point. Tommy Blob, if you don't know who that is. Coming in at number 14. Coming in at number 13 is Grumpy Gunner. Grumpy Gunner, only slightly above Tom, only because I know he has a lot more tertiary success. And it wasn't tallied down, but I know he has more tertiary success than Tom Diet, unfortunately. Unfortunately for Tom, fortunately for Grumpy. So Grumpy is a one-time United States champion, and he's a one-time Intercontinental champion. He's held almost every minor title there is out there, plus he is a one-time tag team champion, and who knows, by the Royal Rumble, he could be a two-time tag team champion if he keeps his goals high and keeps up with the success that he's been having with the Ultimate Gamer. So just slightly above Tom Diet, that's Grumpy at number 13. Coming in at number 12, just above Grumpy by just a few numbers, it is Kendall 1056. Now, what really brings him above is the fact that he won tag team quite a good number of times. He's a one-time Intercontinental champion, very impressive reign that he has, a WrestleMania defense. And, of course, he has World Tag Team with K4L on a circumstance, K4L on another circumstance, and he had a Tag Team - World Tag Team with Eddie early on. So he was good in the tag team division. He had an Intercontinental title reign that sets him just above Grumpy Gunner. The early parts of the list are really close together, and as we get higher, you will notice that it gets quite a bit more spread out. So that's Kendall coming in, or LL Blazy Ken coming in at number 12. Coming in at number 11 is Rock the Destroyer. Maybe not his year in terms of success. He's had better years, just personally, in my opinion. He's had years, 2 US's, world titles, all that. This year, not so much, but still quite a good year to make it to the number 11 spot, almost gracing a top 10 level performance this year. So he held 2 minor titles in the form of a United States Championship going into the year, which we did count title reigns going into the year. And he held the global championship, making him the second ever global champion. He's also held 2 tag team titles in the form of a tag team title with the Twins and a world tag team, in which he won at WrestleMania with Eddie Slayer. Definitely an impressive performance. He's also had several tertiary, but it isn't quite enough to set him above into the number 10 spot, which, by the way, let's get to the number 10 spot. All right, we're in the top 10 here. Coming in at number 10 is Y3 Reigns. He's a world heavyweight champion. He's a 3-time tag team - world tag team champion this year. And what really sets him above Rock the Destroyer, and one of the key points, is that he's the longest reigning tag team champion, and that reign was indeed accomplished this year. So that is something to note. So he is just slightly above Rock, but he's slightly below the guy in number 9. So that is Y3 Reigns with a world heavyweight title, tag team galore, coming in at number 10. Coming in at number 9 is the first inductee to the R.C.W. Hall of Fame class 2016, Captain Charisma himself, Generations. He has 1 world title in the form of a Money in the Bank cash-in. He's actually won 2 special events, which is actually surprisingly what pulls him ahead here. He won the Memorial Battle Royal, which granted him a United States title shot, which he was unsuccessful in grasping. And he won the Money in the Bank briefcase for the World Heavyweight Championship. Also, a side note, he was successful in cashing it in, and the main reason that he's above Y3 here is that he has a lot of tertiary success, even being called the Hardcore Legend. Not that hardcores were actually counted, but it's a tertiary title nonetheless. So that's Captain Charisma, class 2016 Hall of Famer, Generations, coming in at number 9. Coming in at number 8, this guy comes to some of a surprise. He's a new person this year. Loner Rollins, Mr. Raw WWE Money in the Bank. Many people thought that he would have a hard time cashing in. They didn't quite see him as the world champion material, but he actually accomplished one of the most world titles this year at 2 Raw WWE championships, with both victories coming over a very impressive Damon Rollins, our current world heavyweight champion. He also got points for holding the Money in the Bank briefcase, and only comes slightly over Generations here at the number 8 spot, but nevertheless quite impressive for somebody that people didn't see much in, and now he's one of the top of 2015 in such a short time frame. That's Loner Rollins coming in at number 8. Coming in at number 7 is our board of directors himself, Boss Storm. Now, he actually technically tied for number 6, but there is a key reason that I put the number 6 above him. Bias, OMG, favoritism. No, but there actually is a relatively decent reason. Now, one could argue that he should be above because of his minor title success, but we do know Boss Storm is a 2-time United States champion, and he's a global champion. He's held world tag team, and he's held tag team. He's had his fair share of tertiary title success, as well as having multiple open challenges. But also, a side note is a lot of his reigns not so long, kind of something that are not quite memorable, which is one of the key reasons that he's a bit lower. But when I reveal number 6, I'll reveal the other reason as to why he's above, and you can debate for yourself which one should be number 6, which should be number 7, or if you should say that they should be tied. All right, so that's Boss Storm coming in at number 7. Coming in at number 6, he is the most electrifying man in Raw Sports Entertainment. He is the People's Noob, the Noob. Now, you don't get much more exciting than this guy. Trust me, he's very accomplished this year, and in fact could become a Triple Crown champion in 2016. I'm sure that is going to be something we want to see for certain. But here's one of the main reasons is that he holds that Money in the Bank briefcase that he still holds onto. So that means that he could be a world champion, and he could become a Triple Crown champion at any point. So really, he's got a big potential anytime he wants to become, a, a large step above Boss Storm here in the form of holding a world title, becoming a Triple Crown champion, and becoming one of the all-time greats of R.C.W. He's a two-time Intercontinental champion, including holding it tied for the most times, and he has the longest reign of the Intercontinental Championship. He's a tag team champion. He is a Money in the Bank, so that qualified for points. And of course, the longest reign and most times counts for points as well. So that is the Noob coming in at number 6. Coming in at number 5 is the Phenom, the Deadman, the American Badass, the Undertaker, the Printaker. He is undefeated at pay-per-views, which unfortunately does not quite qualify for anything, unfortunately. He's a world champion in the form of the Road WWE Championship. He's a two-time United States champion this year. He's a multi-time tag team champion, including the Twins, his teamship, and the Immortals, and so many other circumstances. All around a pretty successful year for the Printaker. He's also the longest reigning United States champion in history with an extremely impressive 141 days as champion, and he's the current reigning United States champion going into the pay-per-view at Royal Rumble. So God knows what could become of this. And maybe in the 2016, who knows? The streak might count for something. It's definitely something you're going to want to see. But that is the Printaker with a good 2015, coming in at number 5. Coming in at number 4, we did have to make a small switch to the list, and it's very, very minor. So K4L coming in at number 4, KJ Styles, the phenomenal one. He had a pretty good year coming in. He stayed strong until about June, then had to go inactive because of real life circumstances, and then would come back around the late 2015 region and would have a relatively successful run, making it to some of the top card positions, but not quite winning anything besides the tag team championship. But with how well he's been holding up in the main card division with rivals such as Eddie Lesnar, Hungry Rollins, Kid Jericho, so many different things, a lot of potential, especially in the form of RCW champion dash potential future RCW champion, Hungry Rollins and Eddie Lesnar, going into 2016. It's going to be a good year for him. I predict it now. He's a World Heavyweight Champion going into the year. He's a Road Heavyweight Champion with an extremely impressive reign. He is a one-time Intercontinental Champion going into the year. He's held multiple different Tag Team - World Tag Team titles, including being the current, and he's only slightly above the Printaker, but it's definitely a close one. But K4L takes the cake, coming in at number 4. And at number 3, this is where a huge gap begins between number 3 and 4. This guy arguably had one of the best years, although I don't think you can quite say he was number 1, but definitely had one of the biggest years he might ever have. Who knows, 2016 could be better, but he is RCW's only Olympic gold medalist - RCW's first official superhero, Rabid Angle - the Hurricane. He's a 3-time World Heavyweight Champion. That also makes him the most times as World Heavyweight Champion, which brings him so close to number 2. He's a 2-time United States Champion. He was almost the longest reigning, and then got his reign doubled over by the following person, but you get the point. He didn't hold any tag team championships, although he did come close on many different number 1 contenderships, and he actually won 2 special events this year, including the form of the Elimination Chamber at SummerSlam. And duly note, on a note of the Elimination Chamber, it's coming up in February, so get ready, be ready, to quote Ace Masterson. That's like 2 years old. And he also won the Royal Rumble, the first special event of the year, the 2015 25-man, I think it was, Royal Rumble. And all in all, a very, very impressive year from somebody who had virtually nothing going into the year. So that's Rabid Angle - the Hurricane coming in at number 3. Coming in at number 2 is a key rival to Rabid Angle. He is the show-off - the future Damon Ziggler - Damon Rollins. Arguably one of the fastest rising stars there has ever been. One could argue Eddie. One could argue there's so many different people you could argue are the fastest rising, but this guy, I would say, has to take the cake. I mean, in 2015, he had 4 world championships, not to mention that he had 5 just going into 2016. So a few days sooner, he could have been maybe higher on this list. Not actually, but still, 4 world titles this year. He's had 4 separate occasions as Tag Team - World Tag Team Champion, and he's the longest reigning NXT champion. That was a weekly defending reign, so that's extremely impressive. 93 days as champion. I believe a slightly longer Raw WWE title reign. He's a three-time Raw WWE champion, meaning he held it the most times. I believe he was the second person to ever hold it three times. A lot of notable things about Damon Ziggler or Damon Rollins, and with a guy with a high profile of talent like he has, God knows where he is gonna go in 2016 when we see him hopefully at his very first WrestleMania. It's going to be huge, but he only comes in at number 2. That's Damon Ziggler dash Damon Rollins at number 2. And the moment that you've all been waiting for. At this point, you probably all know who it is. And just before you say anything, it is not a three-way tie at all, actually. But Brooke and Kids do not want to be on the list, although I don't think I probably would have been on the list at all. And Brooke has requested not to be on this list. We have had Olympic gold medalists. We've had superheroes. We've had show-offs. We've had electrifying men. We've had cowboys. We've had charismatic people. We've had charismatic enigmas. We have had destroyers. We've had lunatics. We've had so many people, but there's only one person, rightfully, who could top this list, and he is none of those, but he is a beast. The beast incarnate, Eddie Lesnar, the most accomplished, and by a considerable margin, over 20 points ahead of number 2, which is the equivalent to over 2 world championships above the guy below him. He's held 4 world championships. He's had 6 separate occasions as a tag team world tag team champion. He has won 2 special events in the form of the King of the Ring and the R.C.W. tournament at tables, ladders, and chairs. He has the most times as any form of as one of the forms of tag team championships. I think actually both, if I'm not mistaken. And he has the most world heavyweight title reigns. 2 years in the making, finally wins his big moment at the end of the year. I think that all put it together, but even without that title, I think he still would have been a number 1. This man takes the cake by miles to come. So Eddie Lesnar, the beast incarnate, deserves this spot at number 1, Eddie Lesnar. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for checking out this episode of R.C.W. Top 10. Now, please note, I should have said this at the beginning of the video, but I hope that you've watched to this point, that there is zero bias on this list. I did say that anything that was determined by facts other than pure numbers on this, and I know numbers lists are not always as fun to hear, but this list is sort of an exception, that I did explain my reasoning and said that it is open to change, so if you do want to change it, that's fine. It's kind of hard to make your own list in the comments, but if you'd like to, I invite you to make your own top 10, top 15, whatever number you want. Top 115 if you want, top 1500. Why the hell not? But you get the point. So this is purely by numbers, and I do not want anyone to take any offense by this. If I forgot somebody, I'm sorry. They would probably be early on the list if I forgot them.
BT,
But
by the way,
2015
pay-per-view
was
is next week. By the way, pay-per-view is next week.
Yeah, pay-per-view is indeed next weekend. January 17th is the Royal Rumble. Like I mentioned on the list, Rabbit's career truly took off with the 2015 Royal Rumble victory. That spot could be you, and all you have to do is attend. Every person will be in the Rumble. New, old, who knows? They could take the cake. They can go to WrestleMania 3. They can headline. Rude as fuck. It will definitely not be Brooke. That's what I've decided now. You get the point, though. They can go to Mania. They can headline it. Maybe be the first ever person to win a world championship off of their Royal Rumble victory. And that all happens January 17th at 5 o'clock p.m. EST at the R.C.W. Arena. I got a special arena planned for you. I won't spoil too much, but I have a good deal of entrances that are extremely special in mind. So you're not going to want to miss it by any circumstances. We hope you enjoyed this list. Please message me anything, and I will put annotations in the comments if a good point is brought to my attention. Sorry that we went a while without top 10s, but, you know, we try to get them out, but it's been extremely busy. Good year for R.C.W. in 2015.
Yay,
Lots of things.
2015. End the
Hmm?
video.
All right.